Hello for the fifth Sunday in Ordinary Time, and I'm using all three readings. Job 7, 1 to 7, 1 Corinthians 9, and 1 Mark 1, 28 to 39. Have you ever said to somebody else, or they said it to you, I don't like your attitude? I have done that myself, looking at another person, and I have heard other people look at me and say that same thing. I don't like your attitude. I'd like to look at my attitude, your attitude, or how we judge people. And just with the four characters in today's readings: Job, Peter's mother-in-law, Jesus himself, that second reading, Paul. I don't like your attitude. Well, I'll start out. I don't particularly like Job's attitude, you know. Um, Life on earth is a drudgery. Happy Job, huh? Um, I'm always looking for the shade, the easy way, and life's so difficult. Where's the shade? Or, I'm just looking to get paid and then go sit in the shade. Uh, Restless. So restless. Life, well, you just enjoy. Job says, I'll never be happy. Golly, what a terrible attitude, Job. Oh, I like better, much better, Peter's mother-in-law. She almost had every reason to be down in the dumps. She was sick with fever. And Jesus and his cohorts come in or they say, she's sick. And Jesus takes her by the hand and raises her up, and the fever leaves her. And there she goes. She waits on their group. She waits on Jesus and his disciples or his apostles. You know, women are very good at that, serving other people. At least I think so. I guess some people would say, well, men are just as equally as good at that. I think women are terribly good at waiting on people and say, can I do this for you? I think whether it's a man or a woman, to have that attitude is really terrific. And you don't say to people like that, I don't like your attitude. Jesus, Jesus did work hard, or he went from town to town or village to village and preached in synagogues and temple. And he worked. But I'm not talking about that attitude, but the attitude that I like about Jesus, is that Jesus, you know, it says it toward the end. Rising very early before dawn, he left and went off to a deserted place. Jesus loved people. He loved his responsibility of preaching the word of his Father, but he also loved to get the heck out of there and go to a place of rest or quiet or peace, to be alone. Well, not necessarily alone, to be alone so that he could commune and listen to his Father. And Jesus did that often, often. And the classical time, of course, is right after he was baptized, right before he began his public ministry. He went off in the desert to be alone 40 days and 40 nights. I think that's a heck of a good attitude. if we could try to do the same thing. And finally, Paul, that old Saul, that evil man, lock him up. He was the first one to say that, I guess. Maybe not just today. Lock him up. Saul did lock him up and was feared. And he wasn't a good guy. And then lo and behold, he's knocked off his mount. He's thrown to the ground. There's sort of something like a light flash. He's blind. Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? And God can do whatever God wants. And God can choose the good and the bad, the moral and the immoral. And he certainly did with a bunch of guys that we call apostles. Apostles. Or you do the same thing with disciples. You do the same thing with us. We don't have to have it all together. In fact, we can be pretty messed up in our spiritual lives. And God can still choose us and use us. And I think Paul was that. Paul winds up to be probably the greatest preacher or salesman. He sold Jesus with a new way, with his intensity or a new way, insight into Judaism. And he did this and went to the world, not just to the Jewish nation. I think Paul was the world's greatest salesman. Some people can do it, others can't. You ever watch that TV commercial for fundraising for the Shriners Hospital? There's two little kids. One's an Oriental kid, older, and then there's another little skinny. He's old too, but he looks like an old man, acts like an old man. But these two kids are the best two salespersons, I think, in the United States. I bet, I don't know if you've seen this, but I bet the Shriners has taken in a load of money because of these two great little kids who are salesmen for that hospital and that great charity. Oh, they're not some St. Paul's, but I just think Paul was a powerful speaker. And he did it, and he knew it worked. He knew that he, through the grace of Jesus or God, that he converted people and they bought the message of Jesus. And he did it, and he seemed to brag about it a little. But on the other hand, I think he was sort of humble insofar as he did a good job, he was successful, and he admitted it. And the real bottom line why he admitted it, it's, I think, says that in today's second reading. And I usually don't quote the second reading. Paul says, all this I do for the sake of the gospel, so that I too may have a share in it. That gave him his thrust, his call. That's what he wanted to do, because he was like all the other people that God calls, all the other people that Jesus calls. And he did it. I think he had a pretty good attitude. I like his attitude. So my goal is just to say, you say that, I say that to other people. I just don't like your attitude. Or they say it to us. Take these four and maybe turn them on to yourself to see what's your attitude. Or what would Jesus think your attitude is? All of them can help us maybe pray or learn to get closer with Christ. Have a good day.